I knew I was going to meet him when I was coming to the game, and that's like one of my idols, like the GOAT to me. So he's my favorite player of all time.
Your dream come true. You've made so many dreams come true. State Farm knew it had been some time since you'd seen, and like a good neighbor, State Farm.
Okay, check this out. Caitlin Clark just dropped her top 6 favorite basketball players of all time. Now, some of these names, yeah, they make perfect sense. But others? Oh, they're about to absolutely blow your mind. Seriously, one of them is so unexpected that when she first revealed it, the entire basketball world collectively did a double take. We're talking about a player most people have probably forgotten about, but Clark, she was beyond obsessed. She owned his merchandise, watched every single one of his games, and his influence? It's written all over her game today. But before we get to that shocker, let's kick things off with the player who truly started it all for her. The woman Caitlin Clark openly called her hero, the one she wanted to be when she grew up. See, Maya Moore wasn't just good, she was an absolute force of nature, unstoppable on every level. 4 national championships at UConn, 4 WNBA titles with the Minnesota Lynx, 2 Olympic gold medals. She could score, she could defend, she could lead, she could do literally whatever her team needed. And for a young Caitlin Clark growing up in Iowa, Moore was everything. When people asked Clark who her favorite player was, there was no hesitation, ever. Maya Moore, always Maya Moore.
I know Maya Moore is your favorite player. In a game to 11 against prime Maya Moore, how many points?
11-0, Maya Moore, for sure.
You're not scoring 1 bucket.
I'm not scoring. She's blocking me.
Think about what that really means. Clark didn't just admire Moore's unbelievable shooting or her incredible scoring. She admired the entire package. Moore played the game the right way. She was unselfish, ridiculously smart, and clutch when it mattered most, making her teammates better and winning championships. That's what Clark desperately wanted to become. In countless interviews, Clark has mentioned growing up idolizing professional basketball players, and Moore was undeniably at the very top of that list. She watched Moore dominate at UConn, then seamlessly transition to the WNBA and just keep dominating, making it look so natural, like winning was simply what you did when you played basketball. But hold up, here's the part that'll genuinely hit you right in the feelings. It's March 2024, Iowa Senior Night, Caitlin Clark's final home game at Carver Hawkeye Arena. The crowd is absolutely losing its mind, celebrating every single thing Clark has accomplished. And then, out of nowhere, Maya Moore herself walks onto the court. Clark had zero idea it was happening. The surprise was complete, and as they embraced, you could literally see what it meant to Clark, her childhood hero, right there, showing up for her. State Farm knew it had been some time since you'd seen Maya, and like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. That moment, right there, said everything about how profoundly Moore's influence mattered. A month later, Clark appeared on Saturday Night Live, and during the Weekend Update segment, she made sure to publicly thank 5 black women who paved the way for her incredible success: Lisa Leslie, Cheryl Swoops, Cynthia Cooper, Dawn Staley, and of course Maya Moore, her basketball hero growing up. Clark understood something critical. These women built the WNBA from the ground up when nobody was paying attention, playing for tiny crowds and small paychecks, doing it purely because they loved the game. And now Clark was reaping the benefits of every single sacrifice they made, something she never ever forgot. So what exactly did Clark take from Moore's game? The completeness. Moore wasn't just a scorer, she was 6 feet tall with guard skills and forward strength, capable of posting up smaller players, shooting over taller ones, and completely breaking down defenses with her handles. Clark built her own game in precisely the same way. Sure, everyone talks about Clark's incredible shooting, but watch her closely. She's averaging over 8 assists per game in the WNBA. She's grabbing rebounds. She's playing defense. She does everything, just like Maya Moore did. That's not a coincidence. That's the blueprint Moore provided. But here's the thing, Moore wasn't the only one Clark studied. There was another player whose influence is written all over Clark's game. A player who famously changed basketball forever with his insane shooting range: Steph Curry. The name that comes up every single time someone talks about Caitlin Clark, and for good reason. The comparisons are obvious. Clark shoots from distances that make coaches nervous, both have quick releases that are nearly impossible to block, and both can take over games without even trying. So yeah, it makes perfect sense that Clark grew up watching Steph Curry and absorbing everything he did. Clark has been completely open about it, saying multiple times that she always watched Curry growing up. And honestly, how could she not? Curry was literally rewriting the rules of basketball, showing the world that you didn't need to be 6'8" to dominate the NBA. You could be a 6'3" guard who shoots from the logo and runs circles around defender. Curry made deep threes normal. For him, pulling up from 30 feet was initially considered a bad shot, but after him it became the most exciting play in basketball. And Clark, she took that lesson to heart. Her range is limited. Defenders literally have to pick her up at half court, because if they don't, she's pulling the trigger. She's hit shots from the tunnel entrance, from the opposite three-point line, from places that don't even make sense. That's pure Curry influence right there. The confidence to shoot from anywhere, combined with the insane skill to actually make those shots. That came directly from watching Steph. But wait, it gets even more interesting. Steph Curry himself has actually talked about the Clark comparisons, and get this, he's not a fan of them. Not because he doesn't like Clark, the opposite actually. In an interview with CBS Mornings, Curry said the comparisons rob her of showing her complete game. He pointed out that everyone focuses solely on Clark's shooting ability, but she's so much more than that. She's averaging near triple doubles, she's a floor general, one of the best passers in basketball. Curry basically said, stop limiting her to just shooting, because she's doing everything at an elite level. That's incredibly high praise from someone who revolutionized the game. And Curry's right, Clark is absolutely more than just her shot, but that doesn't change the fact that Curry's influence is massive. Clark's step back three, that's got Curry written all over it. The way she creates space with her handles and then rises up for that quick release. Even the swagger, the way she celebrates after hitting a ridiculous shot, that's got some serious Curry flavor to it. There were even rumors earlier this year about Clark potentially joining an all-star three-point contest alongside Curry, Klay Thompson, and Sabrina Ionescu. That would have been absolutely incredible to watch. Unfortunately, Clark's representatives confirmed she wouldn't be attending, probably because she wanted to rest after an exhausting rookie season. Just the fact that conversation was even happening shows you how much respect Clark has earned from NBA players. And speaking of NBA players, Clark has gone on record calling LeBron James the GOAT. But when it comes to pure shooting influence, that's Steph Curry all day. Clark watched him torch defenses for years, and she learned every trick, relocating for open threes, shooting off the dribble, the range that makes defenders panic. Curry showed her what was possible, and Clark simply said, yeah, I can do that too. But now we get to the really interesting part, because the next player on Clark's list, nobody saw this coming. Jimmer Fredette. Yeah, you heard that right.
I knew I was going to meet him when I was coming to the game, and that's like one of my idols. Like, LeBron is the GOAT to me, so I don't know, it was just like a crazy moment where I got to meet him in the back, and then for him to go out of his way and like wish me luck on the season. And he really does follow the WNBA, and he watches, and he loves and appreciates basketball, and he loves and appreciates the way the Fever and my teammates play. And I mean, it's just really cool. I saw that. I didn't see it before the game, but obviously a lot of people had sent it to me after the game. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I thought it was kind of fake at first, but he's my favorite player of all time. I mean, you never know.
The BYU legend, who became a college basketball sensation for exactly 2 years before essentially fading into NBA obscurity, Caitlin Clark was absolutely obsessed with Jimmer Fredette. And this isn't some casual, oh yeah, I watched him a few times situation. No, Clark was all in on Jimmer mania. Let's set the scene. It's 2011, Jimmer Fredette is a senior at Brigham Young University, and he's putting up video game numbers. 29 points per game, launching threes from everywhere, leading BYU to the Sweet 16. The dude wins National Player of the Year. He's selling out arenas. People are making songs about him. Teach Me How to Jimmer goes viral on YouTube. A remix of Teach Me How to Dougie, but all about Jimmer's ridiculous shooting. And Caitlin Clark, who's 9 years old at the time, is watching every single game. She's not just watching, she's obsessed. Clark and her cousins would tune into every BYU game. When the games weren't on, they'd watch Jimmer highlights on YouTube over and over again. Clark was studying his step-back three, his momentum-forward shooting style, the way he'd pull up from 30 feet without hesitation. And she didn't just watch, she bought the merch. Clark literally owned a Teach Me How to Jimmer t-shirt. That's dedication right there. Fast forward to ESPN Plus releases an episode of Sue Bird's show called Sue's Places, and they bring Jimmer Fredette to Iowa's Carver Hawkeye Arena to meet Caitlin Clark. Clark tells Bird and Fredette the whole story, how she vividly remembers his tournament run, how she and her cousins were glued to the TV, how she's always been a huge Jimmer fan. Fredette is loving it, obviously. Here's one of the greatest women's basketball players ever telling him she modeled part of her game after him. So what happens next? They set up a three-point contest. Clark versus Jimmer. Sue Bird picks the spots by moving around a giant cutout of her own face. Why not make it weird? Both of them nail their first two shots. Bird decides that's too easy for two of the best three-point shooters from the logo of all time, so she moves the spot out of bounds. Clark goes first and drains it. Fredette, brick, misses off the rim. Then they try shooting from the bleacher. Clark misses, and Fredette decides not to even attempt his shot, giving Clark the 3-2 victory. And Clark, she goes full savage mode. She looks at Fredette and Bird and says, "It's been fun hanging out with two people who invented the three-point shot. The trash talk was incredible." She beat her childhood hero and then roasted him for it. That's peak Caitlin Clark right there. Why does Jimmer Fredette matter? Why is he on this list alongside legends like Maya Moore and Steph Curry? Because Fredette showed Clark something profoundly important. You don't have to be an NBA superstar to have influence. Fredette was a college player just like Clark was at the time. He proved that college basketball could be must-see TV if you played with enough confidence and flair. He showed that you could shoot from anywhere and make it work. Clark has admitted that her step-back three is hard to pinpoint where it came from because she absorbed so much basketball, but she specifically mentioned Jimmer as one of the players she always watched. That momentum forward shooting motion Fredette used. Clark uses the exact same technique. When she shoots those deep threes, she's not stationary. She's moving forward into the shot, using her momentum to generate power. That's straight from the Jimmer playbook. And here's the thing, Jimmer's NBA career didn't pan out. He averaged 7.6 points as a rookie with Sacramento and never really found his footing in the league, ending up playing overseas in China and then with Team USA's 3x3 basketball squad. But that doesn't matter. His college dominance inspired a 9-year-old girl in Iowa to believe that shooting from absurd distances was possible. That's influence. That's legacy. The Jimmer Fredette obsession might be the most unexpected part of Clark's story, but it's also one of the most important. It shows that Clark wasn't just watching the biggest stars, she was watching everyone who played the game in a way that excited her. And that brings us to the next player on the list, someone who influenced Clark's all-around game in ways that go far beyond just shooting. LeBron James, the king. And in Caitlin Clark's eyes, the GOAT. Clark hasn't been shy about it. She's publicly called LeBron the greatest of all time. Oh, today's world. I guess. I didn't know. I was like, wait, is this actually LeBron James? I knew the picture was real because I knew that was me. But yeah, that was pretty incredible. Not Michael Jordan, not Kobe Bryant, LeBron. And when you actually look at how Clark plays, you can see exactly why LeBron made this list. LeBron isn't just a scorer. Yeah, he's got over 40,000 career points now, but that's not what defines him. What defines LeBron is his incredible vision, his uncanny ability to control the game without even scoring, his court awareness that lets him find teammates in places defenders don't even see. He's 6'9" and 250 pounds, but he plays like a point guard. He orchestrates offenses. He makes everyone around him better. Sound familiar? Caitlin Clark models her game in the exact same way. She's a guard who can absolutely score 40 points if she needs to, but she'd genuinely rather get her teammates involved. In her rookie WNBA season, Clark set the all-time single-season assist record, averaging over 8 assists per game. She became the first rookie ever to record a triple-double. That's not just scoring, that's LeBron-level playmaking. Clark has said she watched LeBron growing up, and you can absolutely see it in how she approaches the game. game. LeBron always makes the right play, even if it's not the flashy one. He'll give up an open layup to pass to a teammate in the corner for a wide open three. Clark does the same exact thing. She'll drive to the basket with 3 defenders collapsing on her, and instead of forcing a tough shot, she'll whip a pass to an open teammate. That's winning basketball. That's LeBron basketball. And here's the cool part. LeBron actually watches Caitlin Clark. He's tweeted about her. He's praised her game publicly. Before one of Clark's games, people sent her screenshots of LeBron's tweets supporting her in the Fever. Clark's response, "That's one of my idols. LeBron is the GOAT to me. He really does follow the WNBA, watches and he loves and appreciates basketball, and he loves and appreciates the way the Fever and my teammates play. That mutual respect is truly beautiful." Clark grew up watching LeBron dominate the NBA, and now LeBron is watching Clark dominate the WNBA. Both of them faced insane pressure from day one. LeBron had the chosen one tattooed on his back in high school because the expectations were that ridiculous. Clark had every game televised nationally, with millions watching to see if she'd live up to the hype. Both of them handled it. Both of them thrived. What Clark took from LeBron is the complete package mentality. LeBron never wanted to be just a scorer, he wanted to be the best all-around player in basketball. Clark has the exact same mindset. She wants to score, yes, but she also wants to lead, to pass, to rebound, to play defense. She wants to impact every single part of the game. That's LeBron's influence right there. But Clark didn't just watch modern players. She went back in time to study one of basketball's most legendary figures. A player whose record she eventually broke, Pete Maravich, Pistol Pete. The LSU legend who played in the late 1960s and early 19s, the man who scored 3,667 points in just 3 seasons, a record that stood for over 50 years, until Caitlin Clark came along and shattered it in March 2024. Clark has been compared to Maravich since high school, and she's totally familiar with the comparison. She's watched his highlights, studied his game, and genuinely appreciated the compliment. Someone even called her Ponytail Pete, which Clark thought was hilarious. But the comparison isn't just about scoring, it's about pure style. Pistol Pete didn't just score points, he did it with flair. No-look passes, behind-the-back dribbles, shots from angles that didn't make sense. He was a showman. He made basketball fun to watch. And Caitlin Clark, she plays the exact same way. Her passes are audacious. She'll throw a behind-the-back dime in transition that makes defenders look completely lost. She'll hit a step-back 3 and then stare down the crowd. She's absolutely got that Maravich swag. Diana Taurasi, one of the greatest women's basketball players ever, famously compared Clark to Pete Maravich with a ponytail. That's not just about the flashy passing, it's about the raw creativity. Maravich didn't play basketball like everyone else. He invented moves, he took risks, he trusted his instincts. Clark does the same thing. She'll try passes that coaches would normally yell at players for attempting, except Clark actually completes them. When Clark broke Maravich's all-time NCAA scoring record, it was a massive, seismic moment. Maravich's record had stood since nobody thought it would ever be broken, especially since Maravich did it in just 3 seasons, while modern players often have 4 or 5 years of eligibility. But Clark did it. She passed him on March 3, 2024, in a game against Minnesota, and the basketball world erupted. Clark has said she takes immense pride in being able to do a lot of different things for her team: scoring, passing, rebounding, leading. That's exactly what Maravich did. He averaged 44.2 points per game in college, but he also averaged 6.5 assists. He wasn't just a scorer, he was a complete player who did whatever LSU needed. Clark built her game the same way. The Maravich influence shows up vividly in Clark's creativity. She doesn't play robotic basketball. She doesn't just run the coach's plays and take the safe shot. She improvises. She sees opportunities that other players don't. She makes the game exciting. That's Pistol Pete's legacy living on through Caitlin Clark. And that brings us to the final player on Clark's list, a current NBA superstar whose scoring versatility influenced how Clark approaches offense: Kevin Durant. KD, one of the most gifted scorers in basketball history, and according to reports, Clark modeled parts of her game after him. Now, Clark hasn't talked about Durant as much as the other players on this list, but when you watch her play, you can absolutely see the influence. Durant is 6'11" with a guard skill set. He can shoot from anywhere, mid-range, three-point line. It doesn't matter. He's got one of the smoothest shooting forms in NBA history. He can score in isolation, or he can facilitate and get his teammates involved. He's an absolute nightmare to defend because there's no single way to stop him. You take away the three, he'll pull up for mid-range. You sag off, he'll drain a three. You double team him, he'll find the open man. Caitlin Clark plays a similar style. She's 6'0", which is tall for a guard, and she uses that height advantage masterfully. She can shoot over smaller defenders. She can post up when there's a mismatch. She can drive to the basket and finish through contact. And just like Durant, if you overplay her in one area, she'll beat you in another. Her scoring versatility is easily one of her greatest weapons. What's interesting is that Durant was actually asked about his favorite female athlete recently. In March 2024, during Women's Empowerment Month, the Phoenix Suns posted a video of their players naming their favorite female athletes. Most players said Diana Taurasi, Sue Bird, Maya Moore, or Serena Williams. Durant, he said Angel Reese. Not Caitlin Clark, just Angel Reese with absolutely no explanation. Now that doesn't mean Durant doesn't respect Clark's game. Durant is a huge WNBA fan and a basketball purist. He appreciates greatness when he sees it, but it's definitely funny that Clark modeled part of her game after Durant, and then Durant publicly names Clark's biggest rival as his favorite female athlete. Basketball is wild sometimes, but regardless of Durant's personal preference, the influence is undeniably there. Clark absorbed Durant's scoring versatility. She watched how he could score from anywhere on the floor and decided she wanted that same skill set. Durant showed her that being tall for your position is a massive advantage you should exploit. He showed her that you can be a scorer and a facilitator at the same time, and while his influence might be the subtlest on this list, it's absolutely real. Clark didn't just copy one aspect of Durant's game. She took the overall philosophy: be versatile, keep defenses guessing, master every area of the court. That's how you become unstoppable. Caitlin Clark didn't just pick one player to emulate, she studied all of them. She absorbed what made each of them special and then blended it into something completely unique. That's precisely why her game is so incredibly hard to defend. You can't prepare for Caitlin Clark by studying one player. You'd have to study 6 completely different styles, and even then, she's adding her own twists that nobody's ever seen before. Clark said it best herself. Even if you're not intentionally mimicking, you're just absorbing what you're consuming. And she consumed everything. She watched women's basketball legends who paved the way. She watched NBA superstars who redefined the game. She even watched college players who captured the nation's attention for a brief, electric moment. And from all of that, she built a game that's now inspiring the next generation. Kids all over the world are watching Caitlin Clark the same way she watched Maya Moore. They're buying Clark jerseys the same way she bought a Jimmer Fredette shirt. They're practicing step-back threes in their driveways because they saw Clark hit one from 35 feet. The cycle continues. Influence becomes legacy, and legacy becomes influence again. In 10 years, some young player will make it to the WNBA, and when reporters ask who their favorite player was growing up, they'll say Caitlin Clark. And Clark's name will be added to lists just like this one, because that's how basketball works. The greats study the great, and then they become the greats that the next generation studies. Caitlin Clark's list of favorite players tells us everything about who she is. She deeply respects the game's history. She appreciates wildly different styles. She's not afraid to learn from anyone, whether they're a WNBA legend, an NBA superstar, or a college sensation who flamed out in the pros. She took the absolute best from all of them and created something the basketball world had never seen before.